Welcome to Consumer Connections, a podcast series brought to you by Scylla. I'm your host, James Pikeway, and I'm joined by my co-host,
I'm Faisal Khan.
Consumer Connections is your guide to navigating the ins and outs of marketing and insights with a special focus on the Arab world and its global implications. We're thrilled to introduce you to a range of experts and leaders from the domains of strategy, marketing, and insights who will share their thoughts and real-life experiences with us. The theme of this podcast is transitioning to the new normal, travel marketing evolutions in MENA post-COVID. Faisal, who is joining us on this podcast?
It is my pleasure to introduce Roxana Nicolescu, who has a fascinating career spanning 2 decades in the field of marketing, social media, and corporate communication. Currently serving as the VP of Brand Marketing at Vigo, the premier travel app in the Middle East and North Africa. Roxana's guidance has played a pivotal role in the company's impressive yearly growth. This serves as a testament to her unwavering expertise. Prior to her role at Vigo, Roxana held senior positions in marketing, communications, and PR at Qatar Airways, where she honed her extensive industry knowledge. We are excited to have you as our guest, Roxana. Your wealth of experience is certain to provide our listeners with invaluable insights.
It's just great to have you here. And a wonderful number that came up on the internet this morning as I was just looking at, what you guys do and what's going on. 143,000 plus downloads of the app in February.
Oh yes, absolutely. We ramped up our marketing activities starting with 2022. And we are seeing the result. We ramped up the brand marketing activities. Now there is a huge demand for travel. The world has opened up. Most of the restrictions have been lifted. And there is a huge appetite for travel, especially from the MENA region.
And when you think about all of this travel and you look back at the pre-COVID, the COVID, and the post-COVID, how has this altered your strategies as you're going forward? Is it making your life easier?
I don't think anybody's life is easier in a post-COVID world, and things have changed for better and for worse at the same time. So if I go back to 2017-18 in a pre-COVID era, let's put it that way, the consumer's behavior was completely different. They used to consume different kind of media. They used to have a different behavior towards travel. If people were back then, they were just traveling for the sake of being away. Now the travel is a bit more intentional. If TV was trending at that time, the marketing mix and the platforms they are consuming in a post-COVID world are completely different. Then moving back into the COVID area, when the world basically stopped.
Correct.
Right? It stopped.
Must have been a nightmare for you. We can only just phantom it.
It was a complete nightmare, and that's because, first of all, we could not predict this. Secondly, we did not have a moment as such. It happened before, so we could not even refer to something like this and just adapt our marketing strategies or our business overall strategies based on it. So we went from millions of app downloads, we went from millions in dollars revenue to zero. In a month time or even less, It was heartbreaking to see all your efforts and all that work just crashing and crumbling. What we kept on doing was talking to our audiences. We started reinventing ourselves. We launched a loyalty program during that time, which is long due, but because of all that day-to-day, rush in our work, we had no chance to do it. So during COVID, we launched this loyalty program wherein we invented a marketplace with non-travel products. Okay. So Oswego is a travel marketplace, and we extended the same value proposition to non-travel. So we kept on offering our audiences a reason to visit Ouigo platforms, right? And the second thing we've done, we launched travel advisory section on our platforms, wherein we kept on feeding the market with the latest travel restrictions, rules, regulations, because people were still waiting to see that silver lining, and they were waiting to travel far faster than the 2 years, which
Correct.
proved to be the right, the length of the COVID. And I must admit that the visits to our platforms did not really drop, right? So we kept our audiences engaged. However, the revenue was down. It was a lot of work during that time. You might think that during COVID, as in the marketing department, we didn't really have work. But for us to keep the conversation going, to inspire people, to give them reasons to keep on dreaming about travel for when it's safe to travel, was our day-to-day duty. And we kept doing that for almost 2 years. We partnered with various tourism boards, which were all also in need of keeping the audiences engaged, and they wanted to keep inspiring people for when it's safe to do so, then you can choose a certain destination. So we partnered with these NTOs. We ran campaigns. We ran, obviously everything was digital at that point of time, and we kept on inspiring people, and we kept on telling them, well, the world is opening. This is what's waiting for you at the end of the tunnel. Moving into a post-COVID world, well, that was really tough. Because we realized that everything has changed, right? And how we started planning, we conducted some market researches just to understand what is the new normal. We wanted to understand how COVID changed the behavior of our customers, right? And we realized it was a massive change. We ran some focus groups, some brand health studies as well, to understand the pain points, to understand what are they expecting from a marketplace such as ours. What do they expect from the travel in general? And the findings were really, really interesting. Now, if in a pre-COVID world, people were a bit more, well, I would say not that mindful about how they spend on travel, what is the reason for traveling. We are traveling because we can, because we have so many airlines, because it's a wealthy region. Now the travel became far more intentional. I'm not going to travel just to see new places. I'm going to travel primarily to see my family, to see my friends, for medical reasons and education, and so on and so forth. So the reasons for traveling have changed profoundly. The way they book travel has changed.
Really?
If before, we used to go to marketplaces as ours or to online travel agents. Now they started preferring going directly to the airlines and to the hotels. Reason being, cancellations, refunds, insurance are far faster, right? Because you do not have the middleman, and you do not have to go through an extra hassle to get your ticket reimbursed, or to get it cancelled, or to get it rescheduled, right?
That has a profound impact on your business model, though.
100%, absolutely. So what we wanted to tell these customers is that, fine, you can still book with us because this is a marketplace. You are still going to the airline website to fulfill your booking, or in the marketplace you still have the airline. You can still get your loyalty points. You can still call back. But to wrap this all up in a marketing message was almost impossible, and yet we did it. Another change we've noticed is the rise of the social media platforms. I know that social media was there before, but now it has risen to a different level. TV is absolutely meaningless these days. We have the audio-on-demand platforms, we have the video-on-demand platforms which we are consuming. Social platforms became the go-to place for people to get informed, for people to get inspired for travel, and not only for travel. I mean, we do so much, we spend so much time on the social media platforms, and it's the other channels were irrelevant. In a pre-COVID world, I remember we used to be on NBC all the time because TV was king, and it helped us build the brand which kept us going during COVID, because we just relied on the brand awareness at that time. Now social media took the place. And the beauty in this region is that each country has its own mix of social platforms people consume, right?
Correct.
If in Saudi Arabia is TikTok and Snapchat, in UAE is primarily Meta, Kuwait, Twitter. So we had to get customized to that. And through our research, we found out all these beautiful results, right? So it helped us massively in planning our media strategy moving forward.
So, Roxana, as a marketing lead, changing gears from a world that was all about TV, mass communication, to changing gears to completely digital, especially in a post-COVID world, how did you react to it?
It hasn't been easy, I must admit. But I think that if you are willing to adapt, and us as marketeers, we have to adapt fast to the new realities. I think that's possible. And with the rise of the AI recently, as we can see, it's a game changer. It fully changed the way we think marketing. It helps us, but on the other side, it has its downsides as well. Because it happens so fast that sometimes you feel like you are running, but you will never reach. For us was quite easy. We've been a digital platform.
Correct.
So when the digital world picked up, we were kind of ready for that. And yes, digital became a very, very important an important tool
Correct.
for us in marketing.
One thing which I picked up throughout your conversation, whether you're talking about the pre-COVID era, during COVID, post-COVID, you mentioned the word market research. What's your point of view on market research, or the significance of market research as a marketing, when you're designing your marketing campaigns, or in the entire planning you're doing around marketing campaigns? Where does market research fit in?
Well, I think it's the foundation of all our marketing activities. I run market studies on a quarterly basis. I need to understand how the world is evolving, how the customers are changing their behaviors, what are the trends, how do they consume, how do they perceive our brand, right? How can I address the pain points? So my strategy is not to go out there to say that we are the best. My strategy is to tackle the pain points our customers have and to address them with every single marketing tool I have in hand. And marketing became so granular these days that it's not one size fits all anymore, right? We target based on communities, nationalities, wherever possible. We have a full content strategy in place, and we know what are we telling our customers, each customers as segments, right? So we plan that really well.
What are the challenges in the region? As you said, you've got different markets. You've got the Saudi market, you've got the Omani market, you've got the UAE market. What are your challenges in speaking to the pain points of each of those markets, yet having a unified brand?
Well, it's quite difficult, and everything comes down to a proper planning. Once you put a content strategy in place, once you build messaging house per each community, and you plan it well, and you plan your activities per each social media channel, per each digital channel you are using, and this is what we do, I think things are getting easier. It's really challenging. We have a large team, and maybe this helped a lot. We have a team based in Saudi Arabia to cater to Saudi market. We have a team based in UAE to cater to the needs and understand this market. We have Egypt, we have Lebanon, we have Europe, India, within all the core markets we are handling. It's more expensive, if you want me to put it that way, because more granular you go and more focused your marketing activities will be obviously an additional cost to that. So cost would be the main challenge, human resources and time for this. But again, with a proper planning and a proper strategy in place, you can overcome all these challenges.
I think when we think about all of the people we've spoken to so far in this podcast, your group is the first one that's talked about having teams on the ground in the various market segments, which makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. Nobody can take the pulse of that particular market unless you live and breathe in that area, right? So we assume, yes, we know, we collect data, we run researches, but again, having someone to understand exactly what's needed in that particular market is vital.
Okay. And I think one of the biggest challenges in the conversations or being in the industry itself is these are such unique markets. Or even if you talk about UAE, it's such an heterogeneous market with expat Asians, expat Westerners, expat Arabs, the locals. Similar situations in, let's say, in Kuwait with different, social economic classes across the spectrum. It's probably not easy because you're also looking at a strategy that's universal where you can tap into everyone, but then you have to also customize and personalize a lot of your communication. And I think everyone's a traveler for you. Like everyone's
Absolutely.
Your target audience, the entire
Yes.
everyone's traveling. So must be all the more challenging.
Absolutely. However, we also have an umbrella approach towards the market, and how our positioning as a brand at the moment is that we offer value in travel, right? It can be value in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of anything which you are valuing when you travel.
Okay.
And this is the foundation of all our marketing activities, and all the rest of the messages we put out there, they have their roots into the umbrella strategy in our positioning. And how we started the entire thing, and we went to the core of travel. Why do people travel? They have reasons to travel, right? And we started identifying these reasons for traveling.
Were there any surprises?
Yes, in a post-COVID world, absolutely. If before people were traveling for leisure, people were traveling just to explore new places, to see to taste new cuisines, and so on and so forth. Now we are noticing that people are traveling for visiting friends, family primarily. Leisure a little bit less, but it's picking up. And even when it comes about leisure, we do not have such long trips as before. We have far shorter. We go to different mix of destinations, right? People started avoiding landmarks and famous destinations. They go for off the beaten track. Let's call it that way. Destinations which were not that trendy before, they became a go-to place now. Azerbaijan, for example, we have Montenegro, Croatia, Romania, just a few countries which started being searched for by Middle Easterners, travelers.
Right. Do you see us transitioning back or slipping back into the way things were 2018, 2019?
I think that will not happen anymore. We all changed. We all learned our lesson, and we changed. Everything has changed. And what has been in 2019, I don't think it will come back. The world evolved a lot. The digital evolved a lot. Artificial intelligence is taking over. So the entire ecosystem has changed. And all the tools we have in hand will change our way of acting.
Saudi's been a very exciting market. Talking about travel, tourism, they're investing a lot of money in inbound travel for Saudi, developing a lot of properties, etc. Is there a very specific focus on Saudi do you have from a strategy perspective, marketing perspective?
Actually, Saudi Arabia is our largest market. And a lot of our focus goes towards Saudi Arabia. We own the market and we understand very well the market because for the past maybe 10 years since we started operations in the Gulf, we were focusing on Saudi market. If you would ask me, I would say it's an easier market than UAE because the market is not as fragmented as UAE, and you have primarily Saudi nationals and some expats here and there, but the majority of the Saudi population is living in Saudi Arabia. And the moment you start understanding their behavior, the moment you know what kind of media they consume, how do they book travel, that becomes easier, right? I think the challenge we have in Saudi Arabia is the visa restrictions they have across our geographies. And maybe another challenge I would say in Saudi is that the market is moving so fast. With all the developments happening, keeping track of how the entire market evolves, it's a real challenge. That is why I'm going back to my market researches, quarterly ones. I'm even running focus groups. I just completed one in Saudi Arabia, actually, a few weeks ago. And it was really interesting because everything is changing from one quarter to another. And the people now understand far more travel. They want to go out there. Some of the countries started lifting the visa restrictions, made it far more accessible. UK recently announced that they are making the process far easier. So it makes it easier for us as well. And you have a lot of media tools in hand. Let's not forget that NBC network is a Saudi-based broadcaster. They have one of the biggest video-on-demand platform, which is Shahid, and that's really easy to plan the Saudi marketing.
Interesting.
Do you use influencers in your campaigns?
A lot. Influencers marketing is one of the most important tools we have in hand at the moment, especially in Saudi Arabia. It's very trendy, and it started in a pre-COVID time, and we thought that maybe that will slow down, but no, influencers marketing is one of the most important tools I have in hand at the moment.
One of the challenges we've heard from many people when dealing with influencers is, how do you attach an ROI to what they're doing?
There are two ways to attach an ROI to what they do. So you can run an affiliate marketing model with the influencers, wherein the main objective is to download apps. You have a tracker attached to that particular campaign, and then you can monitor it. The second way is the usual kind of influencer marketing, where you measure primarily the engagement, and there's no ROI attached to that. At WeGo internally, we have two well-defined departments. We have the performance marketing, and then we have the brand marketing. Hence, we know clearly that the brand marketing has a separate set of KPIs which we can track, and we understand that very well. And how we measure some of its success, maybe through the brand health trackers, well, we cannot really associate it to that particular activity, but still gives us an indication that what we are doing, it is correct. And then on the performance marketing side, things are pretty clear. You know each dollar what brings into the company. So I would say that once you have these two departments well defined, and you understand that some will bring you a clear return of investment, some not, but you notice that the brand health indicators keep on growing, that you are doing the right thing.
When I mentioned influencers, you and talked about some of the challenges with them, your face lit up. Does any great experiences come to mind when dealing with influencers that you can share with us?
All the experiences we had with influencers were really great because they brought a lot of amazing results. Some of the best experiences we had were with our tourism board partners. We recently concluded a campaign with Visit Britain. It's our long-term partner. It's our 7th year of partnership. And all the influencers activities we've done with Visit Britain were fantastic because the destination is so beautiful and the content creators had a lot to talk about, a lot to experience. And I would say that we've never had a bad experience with an influencer across the markets because we know, we understand that we have experience in dealing with influencers at this point of time. And I have a big social media team which is dedicated only to influencers.
With all these new ways of marketing, whether it's digital, social media platforms, influencer, how do you see things going in the next few years? What can we expect?
I would say that social media will keep being trendy. I would say that apart from social media, all the artificial intelligence deployment happening now will be a game changer, and not only in travel but across other services and products as well. People will consume things differently. Everything will become digital. We'll have augmented reality, which will play an important role. It started a few years ago. We used it a few years ago, but nobody would pay that much attention. At this point of time, absolutely. You have virtual reality, which is an important step forward, especially in tourism. You have all these tools which Google launched recently, Microsoft, ChatGPT, which are changing the way we do things on a day-to-day basis. So I think this is the future. It's hard to predict because all these tools are growing exponentially, and nobody would believe last November that we'll be in this point in June. The artificial intelligence will take over our lives and our work. Who would have thought that? We wouldn't even fathom that kind of approach, right?
And have you started playing around with it in terms of building campaigns and kind of getting some cues to marketing initiatives and activities?
Absolutely. Being a digital platform, that we started using ChatGPT in December, so it was newly launched. We started using it primarily for text generation, but now we are using Midjourney, we are using ChatGPT, we are using Bard, we are using Bing, all these platforms. We are integrating artificial intelligence into our platforms as well, into our product. We'll soon have a voice command. We'll soon have a search box, chat box integrated in the product to make the travel easier. We use it in social media a lot. We use it in our creative department because it's far easier now, especially Midjourney, which keeps on getting improved day after day. And it's fantastic. It saves a fantastic amount of time, leaves us more time to do some other things. The only limitation we have at the moment, especially for Midjourney, is that it cannot generate large sizes, visuals, but for social it's fantastic. ChatGPT and the other text tools are still not fully accurate at the moment. We use it in our PR and blog articles, but still you need to revalidate all the data. But definitely takes a lot of work off our shoulders.
Does it scare some of the people working in the office, in the marketing department, in the design department? I mean, scare might be the wrong word, but is it causing them to say, okay, I need to make sure that I'm upskilling. I need to be thinking about how I'm bringing value now to this tool that's, as you said, speeding things up?
I would say that scare was the right word, which you used, because it scares people. And I think it's a natural reaction to something that new, which we never predicted, which we do not fully understand. We do not know how big that will grow. But I always tell my team that artificial intelligence will never own all the skills a human being can bring to the table, right? It cannot be creative, intuitive, angry, happy, upset. It's just a machine which has an algorithm and the output will be as such. But it will never be creative. And it still needs a human element even to write that prompt. And the right prompt, because I am telling you, to write the right prompt is not easy.
That's right.
And I don't think that it will take the human value anytime soon.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with my boss the other day, and I'm like, do you really need me to write insights anymore? Because it's giving you recommendations. It's also telling, this is the findings. This is the summary of the findings. These are the recommendations based on these findings. And a lot of, I do agree, of course, that was a joke, but you need a human intervention. You need to but it helps quicken things up, speeden things up. It really enables us to make things faster and gives us a direction to maybe even think in certain ways.
Of course, and ChatGPT until recently it had its own limitation because it could compile information and data only from 2021
Correct.
onwards. Now is connected to internet, so that has been improved. But again, it will not take the human element. It has no emotions.
Yeah. The other thing you mentioned is VR and AR. I think that's very exciting because we were having a conversation with the head of insights at Snapchat where she talks about how consumers are using AR in their travel because they use the lens to point out to the buildings and they get the historic information of those buildings. And that completely changes the way you're traveling because it becomes more immersive in its own ways where you're getting all the required information of the places, the history, and maybe places to see. And that's a beautiful thing.
Of course, it goes an extra mile. You can review the restaurants. So you are walking, you do the same thing, and you will see the restaurants reviews, hotels reviews, and so on and so forth. So it's a fantastic tool. That's why also reviews in marketing became so important now that we brought the reviews, and we should understand them, and we should never ignore the reviews which we get, and we keep an eye on those all the time because the online reputation these days became stronger than the brand.
I'm having a lot of conversations around how people are now moving their brand health from asking people to just measuring it through the ratings, reviews given online. And because it's become synonymous what your digital reputation is, it's actually what people really believe in.
Absolutely. Yeah. Reviews, word of mouth are some of the points popping out all the time on my research findings. Word of mouth is so important. There are markets where word of mouth and family recommendations are the top criteria people make the decisions based on.
Correct.
You do quarterly analysis. Where do you think we're going to be in a year's time?
It's hard to predict. It's really, really hard. We wish we knew the answer. And even our planning, it doesn't go as far as a year as it used to be. Yes, we have a long-term strategy. But when it comes about the day-to-day activities, I think it's a quarterly. It's more realistic. I do not know what's going to be in 1 year, but I'm so excited and I'm so much looking forward to see how all this reality we live into now will evolve.
What a great conversation. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Roxana. Thank you for sparing the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Consumer Connections, a podcast series brought to you by Scylla. The theme of this podcast has been transitioning to the new normal, travel marketing evolutions in MENA post-COVID. Our guest has been Roxana Nicolescu, Vice President Brand Marketing at WeGo.com.